Lacey and I have been waiting on you. Come on in.
Hey y'all, good morning. This is Alicia with the Fanciful Flamingo. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by and checking me out. And if you are returning, thank you so much for sticking it out with the Hot Mess Express. I really appreciate it. I have quite a few new subscribers. Thank you to Jessica Sweetwater Stitcher for mentioning me last week in her Flosstube. That really means so much to me. My videos have been a hot mess and I'm learning and I make mistakes every week and then I fix one and go back to another. So, but I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. So thank you guys so much for coming back. I really do appreciate it. It is, chicken soup for my soul to be doing this. So thank you all again. Let's see. I went to, if y'all saw my little, wasn't really a number 6, but video Saturday, I went to a bare bones retreat in Ocala last week and I had an amazing time, but it was really my first official time away from home and away from my family for any length of time. And yes, my children are 18 and 12, and my oldest child is in his 40s, and that's all I'll say about that. But I miss them. We do everything together. So I did come home a day early. I did not get to film before I went because I did not realize that I would be running around like a chicken with my head cut off, throwing everything and the kitchen sink in my bag to take with me just in case. Note to all of you out there, if you've never been to a retreat, you really do not need to take every single whip that you have because you won't get to them. But live and learn. And I had no expectations of getting to all of them. I certainly thought I would stitch more than I did, but the talking and the getting to know everybody and going to Brick City, Jean's shop, and everything else that I got to do was so worth the not stitching as much as I thought. But I'll get into that a little bit later. I'd like to also thank my family for making me feel so loved and missed when I got home, because apparently putting doors on the laundry room, mud room, hid the washer and dryer. So my family, bless their hearts, did not know that there were appliances behind those doors, those mystery doors, those Wizard of Oz doors that could wash clothing for them. And then because my kitchen is white and my appliances are white, they could not find the dishwasher. I really feel bad that I did that to them. They're probably gonna have to go to some counseling to get over the trauma of me hiding appliances from them that I'm sure they would have used had they been able to find them. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, because I missed them and they missed me. And I did come home to my son and my husband. I'm gonna pause here. They have man colds. They do. They have man colds. So I have been nursing them this week. Bless their little hearts. They're not able to do a lot. And I understand. Their noses are stuffy. Their throats hurt. And they have mild headaches. So they need a lot of rest and repose. Yep. If you know, you know. I'd also like to thank all of you guys for praying for Tiffany Olsel Stitcher and her family and her daughter. The prayers are being felt. Please continue them. As I spoke in previous Flosstube, this is a long journey. It's not a journey that has an end, but it is a journey with hopefully more highs than lows. But please continue to pray for them. They are definitely being felt and appreciated. I appreciate very much the thoughts and prayers sent our way for the loss in our extended family. We had the Mass last Tuesday, and it was hard. Some people just make an indelible mark upon this earth, and Carlotica definitely did. And I want not to leave you with a video, but leave you with this that I took away from the grief. She was a person that genuinely met everyone with the goal of leaving them better than how she had found them. And when people weren't always reciprocative with that, she would always tell you, you don't know what they're going through. You haven't walked in their shoes. And I'm so guilty of being reactionary sometimes, and if someone's ugly to me, I kind of just want to be ugly back, and I never feel good after I do it. So I have taken that to heart, and I, every day now, try to face every circumstance with that in mind. And I encourage, it's not easy. It is not easy, and twice already in 1 week, if y'all know me, y'all know, I have had to bite my tongue very, very hard not to give someone some words of wisdom that I would have liked to have imparted, but I did not. I did not. I kept my words of wisdom to myself, and they were good words of wisdom, by the way. So anyway, that is a little bit of what's been going on in the last couple weeks. I did manage to get 2 FFOs, but one of them was almost done. This was the Noel stitch from the Friend Stitch online retreat I did. And if y'all remember last week, sorry, I got a notification and I looked over. I went to finish it and then realized that I hadn't done the fancy stitches, which is the woven cross and the long stitch star. So I went back and put those in, and don't they pop? Well worth it, and not difficult. They were not difficult at all. And then this fabric was part of our kit, and so was this trim. And I have never done a pillow like this. I will tell y'all, I think I said it last time too, I'm kind of a plain Jane when it comes to pillows and finishing. I kind of find something that I'm comfortable with and that I can do and that I can crank out, and I really don't take the time. I take the time to stitch, but then I don't take the time to finish it. So Lindsay, Primrose Cottage, and Emily a few weeks ago had a Flosstube, and they were showing all their Halloween finishes, and their pillows were just that next level. And I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take the time to stitch this and be proud of my work and make it look nice, then I should just take a minute, take a breath, and instead of rushing through everything, finish a pillow. So I finished this, and then I had bought some velveteen off the clearance rack at Hobby Lobby, pre-cut. So I put that on the back. And that is going to go in my dough bowl for Christmas. So I had that finish. And then I had started this Jingle All the Way maybe 2 weeks ago now at the cross stitch cupboard, and didn't finish it. I think I had some border and stuff. So a little backstory on this. I wanted to do it on green, light green fabric. I had seen a lot of people finishing Christmas on light green, and I wanted to do it. And I found this green. It's Fiber on a Whim, but it did not have a sticker except for Fiber on a Whim on it. So I'm sorry, I can't tell you the name. And fell in love with it. And it was 20 count. So I stitched this already small. 2 threads over 1 on 20 count. And it got really small. And I could have made it a little ornament, but I wanted it to be a pillow. So what I did was I added an extra, this dark green border was not on the pattern. I added it. And then this was, the scallop was part of the pattern, just to make it a little bit bigger. And then I decided to use again one of Lindsay's pillow finishes. She had the fabric, and then she did just some long kind of primitive stitches along the bottom. So I did that to make the pillow a little bit bigger. And then this is just some red fabric I had in my stash. And then I cut another little piece with my pinkering shears and put a little button, not any fancy button, just a button I had. But I did that to finish this pillow for my dough bowl. So I do have 2 FFOs. I did these Sunday because I just was stitched out. So I wanted to do something. I wanted to finish them. So those were my 2 FFOs for this week. Not a lot, but that's okay. And then I have an FO. And this is my Spanish rose sampler that I started working on for my birthday. I'm going to cover my face for a second. This is from Hello by Liz Matthews. And you know that this has not been without its struggles. I got so skippy happy stitching that I did 20 extra columns, 20 extra stitches. And then I've taught before that Maria was a drinker. And I know that Maria was married because on her sampler, she has de in her name, which means of the spouse. So I don't feel bad saying that. She was not a child. And so with a lot of samplers, they stitch and they didn't go back and fix. They were smarter than we are. So this was way over here and I centered it. So then I had to recenter and respace everything because I had the extra spaces. So this has had a lot of frogging and restitching. And then I had to extend this little section here to make it fit so it wouldn't be short. And then I was at the retreat last week and several of the stitchers were saying that I should put my name in it, not Maria's, because at the end of the day, this was my stitch and I did change it. And I had never thought about that. In reproductions, I just always thought that I would use their name because it's their pattern. I'm just restitching it. But I took a vote there and everybody said I should. And y'all know I follow everybody off the bridge when they jump. So I did. So I did everything but my name at the retreat because I had to graph my name. And that was I didn't want to do that while I was talking and socializing because I can barely walk and chew gum. So I came home and I frogged a lot and there were a lot of letters that I kind of had to create. She didn't have an L, she didn't have a U, she didn't have a J, she didn't have an H, or quite a few, the V, that I just kind of took what the style and made my own letters. And so it says of Alicia Julia of Villarchau. And I had done this because my mom was from Spain and I have quite a few Spanish samplers that I've picked out to do next year, kind of in remembrance of my mom and my heritage. So this is ready to be framed. I am actually going to try my first lace stitching. I am going to put this on batting and mount it. And then I'm going to watch Vanna Pfeiffer's tutorial. And I am going to attempt my first lace stitching of a project. I did buy a frame and I showed y'all that last time at Hobby Lobby. And I want to use that. But baby steps on this one. But she's done. And I love her. I do. I'm glad I got her done. We did have some words here and there, and she did get put on timeout, but we made our peace and we finished. And we like each other again. And I'm going to reach over and get some coffee because I'm in desperate need of it today. So moving right along, I have some whips that I thought would be finishes, but they're not. And my first one is Be Ye Thankful. This is from With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, who is my new obsession. And I honestly think I could probably stitch Brenda Gervais for the rest of my life and be happy. And I did work on this at the retreat, but I worked on this one at night in my room. During the day, I just worked on the Spanish Rose sampler. So this one is almost done. I've got to do the top part of the house, the fill-in. And then there's a border that goes around. And then this one will be done. And I used all the call for colors. I didn't make, well, that's a lie. I did change on the birds, their beak and their feet, their legs. It called for the Grecian gold, but I wanted it to be a little bit more yellow. And I was working on another Brenda Gervais, and this is gold leaf. So I did change the beaks and the bird's legs to gold leaf. But that's the only thing that I changed. And there are some boo-boos in here. If you've done it, you will notice that my two little quilting stars are very close together. I have counted and recounted and recounted, and I don't know where the mistake is, but they are staying. In case y'all were wondering. And I will finish this into a pillow. I want this to be the focal point of my dough bowl this month. So I will finish this today. Thought I would finish it last night, but my eyes have been very dry lately, and it just got to a point where it was almost uncomfortable stitching. But that is Be Ye Thankful. It was a stitch along. I started it late to the game. Kathy Walker and Missy Timberlake were talking about it on their Flosstube, 2 needles pulling thread. Missy had finished it. Kathy had also not started it yet. So we kind of texted each other and said, hey, we're late to the game. We'll start it together. And then I was really late to the game because then she started it way before me. So, but that's okay. That's part of a stitch along, is you stitch it at your pace. Doesn't have to be when everybody else does. Don't even have to start it when everybody else does. It's just a stitch along. So my other whip that's almost a finish is also from a stitch along. This was for Chrissy, Finally a Farm Girl's birthday in September, and she chose A Witch in Her Garden, again by Brenda Gervais, with a needle and thread, and I loved it and wanted to do it. Thought I was going to finish this the other day, put it up, had very little to do, left to do on it, and then I decided that, if you'll see here, instead of finishing it with the jack-o'-lanterns, I was going to make them pumpkins so that I could keep it up through Thanksgiving. Jack-o'-lanterns to me are more Halloween. Pumpkins are just fall. A witch can be in her garden at any time. So when I did these two, I left the faces off, but I had already done these. So I picked the face off of this one, and y'all, when you're done with a section, frogging or picking or ripping is hard, especially because you don't really want to bother the other stitches. So now I have to pick these two faces off to be finished. And then I noticed this is supposed to be a drum, okay? So this is the top, this is the bottom. Y'all see this? Yeah. I didn't notice it either. I counted off from the star, and I was supposed to count off from this star. So now I got to take all of this out and stitch it back. So I've got those two things to redo and the little border at the bottom. And then I will be done. But this may go on timeout for a little bit because I'm not really in the mood to frog that much right now. But we'll see, because she's so close. She's so close. And that's it. I have 0 new starts. I have been trying to finish these two up frantically and furiously. So that has been my time this week since I got back from the retreat. And I have no new starts. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to y'all about today. I'm in a funk, stitching wise. And not that I don't have stitching mojo, but although maybe I don't. But I was talking to my friend Jess, Como Stitches, yesterday, and we talked about this some at the retreat. Felicia, Jody, Carolyn, Melanie, and I, my table mates, and I had this conversation where we're just like stitching and stitching and stitching for the season. And it started really in July. Now I started stitching, I'm gonna backtrack for a second, excuse me. I started stitching at the beginning of this year. I came back to stitching, let me say. And I was doing it to make just little things for my tier trays, because the big box stores are good at having things for tier trays for the major holidays, but then when you want to do Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or, I don't know, plant a tree day, there's not stuff. So I was just going on Etsy and getting little bitty stitches, and I would put them in the little 3 or 4 inch round hoops. That's how I mounted everything at the time. And mostly it was gnomes. I have a St. Patrick's Day gnome. I have a Valentine's gnome. I have an Easter gnome. I have a 4th of July gnome. I went gnome crazy. So that's what I was stitching. And then I got into this beautiful family of Instagram, and then my LNS, and then Flosstube. And so then there was Christmas in July. So I went to my local needlework shop and I bought every prairie schooler that she had left and every wee Santa. And I stitched Christmas in July. And so August came around and people were doing fall and Halloween stitching. So from August until now, I have done fall or Halloween stitching. And now my dough bowl is almost empty and I need to fill it, or I feel like I need to fill it with Christmas pillows that I have stitched. And I've almost become like this machine of hurry up and finish this one and FFO it, and let's get to the next one, and let's hurry up and finish it, and let's FFO it, because we got to put all the things out because we have to decorate with cross stitch. And I suddenly realized the other day that somewhere along the way I had stopped kind of enjoying and pausing to stitch. And I think I realized it more when I was doing the support group stitch along, the colorful bras, because that one I purposely made myself sit and only stitch that day and really be in the stitch. And I mean, you don't have to be in every stitch. Some of them are fun and they're meant to be fun, but I stopped having fun. I was this manic stitcher of, let's finish this one, let's get on to the next one. And not even thinking about what I was stitching. And I don't know if but I'm like, I'm stitched out of season. Like, I'm just tired of racing. I had my dough bowl with stuff last year. No, it wasn't cross stitch, but I have stuff to fill. If these are, I'm giving myself permission. If these two are the only 2 pillows that I get done for my dough bowl for Christmas, then I'm going to be proud of myself. I'll say that again. I'm going to be proud of myself for doing these. If my 2 prairie schoolers and my 2 wee Santas that I did in July are all the ornaments that I get stitched this year, then I've done, that's 4. 4 I didn't have. 4 that I can pass on to my beautiful children as their inheritance one day. So I am giving myself the grace to sit back now and relax and not just factory stitch, because that's honestly what I feel like I was doing, was just factory stitching. And that's not why I got back into this. This was wonderful for my anxiety. It helped me recover from a scary diagnosis and a hard surgery and a not fun recuperation. And that's what it needs to be. It doesn't need to add more stress. So if you're with me on that, can I get an amen? Amen. Now, the other thing that we talked about at our table at the retreat this weekend, and I will pause here and say and interject that this is why retreats are so much more than stitching. So we were talking about, and I went to Brick City Cross Stitch Shop, Jean's shop, and I shopped like it was the second coming. Like Jesus had come to me and said, today is your last day and you can only take to heaven what you can gather in this shop today. And I did not let him down. I did not. And I love everything I bought. But after all it was said and done, I probably needed to have sat down when the total came. And I'll tell y'all this, not for any like, oh, I bought this much, but when the total went from the cash register to the credit card machine, the credit card machine actually said, "Are you sure?" It's like Netflix. Are you still watching? Are you sure? And even if I had a doubt, that credit card machine laid down a challenge, laid down the gauntlet, and I said, "Oh, yes, sir, I am sure now. I am sure now." Because I'm also that person that's like, Don't touch that stove. It's hot. Ouch. You're right. But I was sure. So I said, yes, sir. Proceed with purchase. And it did. Maybe this should have had some alcohol in it. So I did buy a lot of fabric because she had 2 long folding tables full of sale fabric. And then I showed a picture last week. I've never seen so much fabric in my life, up close and personal. And it is different than buying it online. I mean, I really did there for a second wanted to shuck off all my clothes and roll around in it, but I also didn't want to go to jail in a town that was 5 hours away. So I contained myself. But I'm going to break up my purchases into 2 floss tubes because it was a lot. And I also had an epiphany on that. But she, aside from having a fantastic sale on fabric, she had a lot of patterns on sale. And Carolyn and I happened to be the first person from the retreat to go. We went Thursday morning before we ever started stitching. And I was greedy. And I went through the sales bins. And I was like, yep, yep, yep. And when I say sale, I mean like 50% off and more on some of these patterns. So I'm going to show you everything I got from the sale bins. So the first one I bought was Hands-On Design, Stitch in the Garden. And I know I'm like a lot of y'all. If it has a tomato or stitching or anything on it, I have to have it. And then there were quite a few stitchers at the retreats that had their scissor fobs. Had these little stitches and I fell in love with them. So I did buy this from the sale rack. Oh, it has a piece of, it's got a little piece of felt for the tomato. Holy ding, 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 ding. And then, y'all know me in houses, so don't be surprised. This is Friendship Blooms by the Blackberry Rabbit. Don't know any, this is my first pattern from them. But it had a little girl, had a house, and it has this button of a bird that goes right there on the fence. Friendship blooms in the garden of life. Isn't that true? So she was on sale and I grabbed her. And then I don't have a lot of Americana stuff, and I have started collecting to stitch in 2023. So I saw this. And who is this from? Needle Bling Designs, Americana Drum Pin Keep. Don't know anything about them either, but I just loved it. And I am going to try to make a drum. I am not going to do my Witch in a Garden in a drum in the end, but I'm going to wait and show y'all what I've decided to do with her. And then, y'all know me and Little House Needleworks. House, check, girl, check. I mean, really, seriously. Keeper of the pins. Look at that. I mean, seriously, I don't need to explain. And even if they hadn't been on sale, we all know I would have bought these. And this is Little House Needleworks Early Americans. This is number 4, Nathan Hale. And I saw somebody else on a Flosstube, and I'm sorry, I mean, Flosstube is on 24/7 in my house. I would like to get the rest of these. This is a series of our like founding fathers, and I would love to do them all. I don't know how many's in the series, but this is number 4. And then quite a few Little House Needleworks. This is Little House Needleworks, the Rooster and the Hens. Because y'all, I mean, my dough bowl sits at my front entryway. And when it's not a holiday, what do you put in it? So I feel like a lot of these little pillows I can stitch throughout the year and have them in the bowl. So this is Little House Needleworks. What is this one? Christmas in the Country. It's got the 2 sisters and the big white house and just all the feels. And then this is Welcome In by Little House Needleworks. So I love it. And then JBW. Like, I don't know how she does these alphabets with all of these decorative pieces to them, but she is just sheer genius. And I mean, look at that. I mean, I don't know how she does it, but I'm here for it. So I got that one, and you guys know I've talked about before, I love anything blue and white. My house is decorated in a lot of blue and white. So I bought this chintz alphabet to do. And I think I'll probably, when I finish this one, I think I'm gonna frame this one and put this in my room. So that's just what I bought off the sale table last week. And that's something I want to talk about, because with any hobby that we do, we know that there are actually two hobbies involved. There is the purchasing of the hobby supplies and the making of the things with the hobby supplies. And sometimes they come together and make beautiful things, and sometimes they just stay two separate hobbies. And I have been guilty of this my entire adult life in crafting, and I have done a lot of crafts. Sorry for the jazz hands. But I started cross-stitching at the beginning of the year and would literally buy stitch one, buy one, stitch one, buy one on Etsy. And then we all know that I went to the local needlework shop, and that was the end of buy one, stitch one. And I always felt like I had to have all the things right then and there. And I know that a lot of us do. And I am fortunate that I can indulge sometimes in that hobby of purchasing. But it's not without pause. And after I got back, and y'all, when I say I bought, but I mean, it wasn't enough to pay for a car. I mean, I don't want y'all to think, but I bought. And I spent more than I meant to, and that's okay. Because I had a great time doing it, and you can't go away and go to a needlework shop that you're not going to be at every weekend, and one as wonderful as Brick City with Jean, and not buy it. You just can't. I'm sorry. Well, maybe you can. I can't. But we got back to the table. We all made our purchases. We were all talking about how big our stash is getting. And jokingly, I'll never live long enough to stitch all of this. And I'm like, I just had that moment where I was like, I need to stop and stitch what I buy. I bought it for a reason. And I don't want to go back 2 or 3 years from now and be like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. And my friend that I met, Felicia, who is now, she's amazing. She is amazing. Was saying she quilts as well. And Jody does too. And so she was saying that she put herself kind of on a spending freeze for quilting in 2022. And she allowed herself 2 big purchases, because I guess with quilting, and I don't quilt. So when you buy all of the fabric for us to make a specific quilt, and the batting and the binding and she has a long arm, so she quilts her own. So she said they had just moved from Utah, maybe a year or 2 ago. And in the move, and that's happened to a lot of us when we've moved, I don't think we realize how much we have until we have to put it in boxes. And she was really shocked at how much she had that she had not quilted or stitched. And so she, for 2022, had made herself a goal that she was going to quilt from what she had, but allow herself to buy at least 2 new lines. And we started talking about that, and we were like, yes, we need to stitch our stash. I need to stop buying in this frenzy of add to cart, add to cart, add to cart. Because there for a while I'm going to be honest with y'all, I was adding to cart on Fat Quarter, Primrose, a million other places online, going to the local needle workshop. I have enough. I have enough Christmas. I have enough 4th of July. I have samplers now that I wanted to do. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to purchase in 2023, because let's face it, cross-stitch designers are insanely talented and they put out beautiful things. And I'm going to want some of those beautiful things. And I'm sorry, my yard guys just got here. So you're going to hear them in the background, and I apologize for the noise. But I need to stitch my stash. I need to just stop buying everything I see. Like little kids when they go to Target, I'm like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And I need to stop. I need to take a breath. I need to stop factory stitching like the rapture's coming. And I need to stop purchasing like the rapture is coming. And I need to enjoy this hobby for what it is. So if you want to join along in 2023 in stitching our stash, let me know. I might do a Facebook group for all of us in that sense. And every month we will pull some older patterns out that we forgot about and want to stitch. And we will have a Stitch Your Stash stitch along. Oh, this is all coming to me. Look at that. Bing, bing, bing. I'm firing on all 2 cylinders that I have left. Can I just say one thing about that? I came back from getting my coffee this morning, and there was a pigeon pecking on the windshield, the front windshield of my daughter's car, just pecking the windshield. And I sat there and just watched her. I'm like, she must be a mama pigeon, and that's her equivalent of banging her head against the wall. She probably left her little chicks in the nest, chirping away, Mom, 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 Mom. And that poor little pigeon was just sitting there, banging her head against the windshield of my daughter's car. And I wanted to join her. I did. But that's... So anyway, so enough of that. You know, cross-stitching should be fun. It should bring us joy and not bring us anxiety and angst. So that is my goal for 2023 as I sit and I am going to plan out my year, because I do plan out my spontaneity. That works for me. I have also decided that I'm going to do 7 whips. I'm going to start each month with 7 whips, 7 starts, 1 for each day, because I do get tired of stitching the same thing after 2 or 3 days. I want that flexibility, but I don't want to be overwhelmed with whips. So 7 whips for the 7 days. And then when I finish one, I can add another one, but not till I finish one. That's me. So on to, I want to give some shout outs and some thank yous and show off some things. We talked last video that also Stitcher, Tiffany, and her daughters were doing t-shirts to help raise money for their medical expenses and trips and things, because Tiffany should only have to worry about her daughter and nothing else. And her daughters wanted to bring awareness, her twins, to, and I'm not even gonna try to say it again, but to her diagnosis, and the colors are blue and white. So they are making these scissor fobs. And I purchased one, and this is what they look like. And this is so dear and special to me. I'm almost afraid to put it on scissors because I don't ever want to lose it, but I will. And I will think of Tiffany and her daughters and making these and pray for them every time I use my scissors. So if you would like to purchase one of these scissor fobs, you can reach out to Old Soul Stitcher on Instagram, and I will put that information at the end of the video and also in the description below, because I know how to do those 2 things now. And then I had mentioned at the beginning of the video that Jessica, Sweetwater Stitcher, had mentioned my Flosstube channel on her Flosstube last week, and I got a lot of visitors and a lot of sweet comments from her followers, and it just meant so much to me. I mean, Flosstube and Instagram and cross stitch have given me a purpose as my children get older, as my husband's job gets busier, and I was kind of left wondering, what to do. So all of this has given me kind of a renewed purpose, and I love it. And I don't take any of it for granted. But she had mentioned that she had made herself a stitchy mat for retreats. And I will tell you, when I went to the retreat last week, there were a lot of people that had the stitchy mat. Stitchy Linda had one, and I was so jealous of hers. And she hinted that she had made an extra one. And I'm not going to lie, when I watched it, I was like, please let it be me. Please let it be me. It was. I posted about, yeah. Look at those. Look at those. And it has pockets, and it has a needle minder, and it has this trim, and it has this backing, and it is just all of the fabulous things and more. So thank you, Sweetwater Stitcher, for this. You will never know how much it meant to me. I cannot wait to go to my next retreat, and I will be obnoxious. I know y'all are surprised. Oh, have I mentioned that I know how to pin ruche? Thought y'all I had forgotten, but I didn't. And I will take this with me. I'm not gonna lie. I've had it in the plastic bag it came in because I'm afraid to get it dirty, but it sits beside me, and I love it. So thank you so much. Thank you also to everyone at the retreat last week. Stitchy Linda, I love you even more today than I did last week. Jean, you are a delight, a wonderful retreat hostess, and a fabulous shop owner. Jody and Felicia, I am so blessed to call you now friends, to have met you in real life. Melanie, who sat at our table, is she has a PhD in Arthurian literature. King Arthur. She was working on a Mirabella. I don't know how to say it. I'm never going to stitch one of those. That's like my pay grade's here. That's way up there. Gorgeous. I get to see her in 2 weeks. And Carolyn stitches. I would not have even known about this side of the world of cross stitch had I not met you at the cross stitch cupboard, and had you not extended such a warm friendship to me. And I know I tease you that you enabled me, but really you have just shared your world unselfishly with me. Carolyn also has a Flosstube. Carolyn Stitches. Please go check her out. She has she did her last Flosstube, I think, was Sunday or Monday, and just has some amazing things to show. So last but not least, I have winners from the last Flosstube, and I'm sorry it's been 2 weeks, but Steno Stitches, you won the Santa pattern by Primrose Cottage. So Steno Stitches, you won the Santa pattern. Sharon Hendricks, you won the House Scissor Fobs. Sharon Hendricks won the House Scissor Fobs. And David A. Lucas, you won the House Needle Minder. So one more time, Steno Stitches, you won the Santa pattern. Sharon Hendricks, you won the House Scissor Fobs. And David A. Lucas, you won the House Needle Minder. If you will email me to the number one Fanciful Flamingo at gmail.com, and it will be at the end of the video and also in the description, but one Fanciful Flamingo at gmail.com, and give me your address. I'm hoping you guys are all over 18. I will get these sent out, and I want to apologize for the winners of the kit and the tombstone. I did not get those mailed out before the retreat, and I promise you I will get those mailed out by tomorrow. So thank you for patiently waiting on those, and I do apologize. And now for this week's giveaway, or gift. What do you have to do? Please be a subscriber. Please hit the like button and leave a comment. That is what you need to do to win this week's gift. And this week's gift is amazing. So, y'all ready? Y'all need to sit down for this. Maybe buckle up. Drum roll, that's my... This week's giveaway, and there's just one because it was so fabulous, is a project bag by Jess at Como Stitches. It is the bag, the thread keeper, And the little, here, I'll take this out so y'all can see. And look, it has a Santa zipper pull. So it has the thread keeper with these wonderful clasps, and she puts a piece of felt in for the needle. I mean, it's no joke. So, and look at the trim. Look at the trim, or the inside fabrics, how they coordinate. It is just, and her zippers coordinate, but this is the gift this week, y'all. This is the gift. So, subscribe, like, and leave a comment for this fabulous bag from Como Stitches. She is on Instagram at Como, C-O-M-O Stitches. And she usually on Tuesdays and Sundays maybe, or Tuesdays and Saturdays, will list her latest releases that you can get before they go to Etsy. If you miss it, I'm gonna shoot my long, not really, because I don't want to be out there trimming. I'm not gonna shoot him. That's a lie. It's 87 degrees in Florida fall, so I for sure don't want to be out there doing this. But she has an Etsy shop, which is also at Como Stitches, but I will post this, I promise, at the end of the video and in the description. That's it for me today, guys. Let me know what y'all think about stitching our stashes in 2023 and just giving ourselves the grace to do that. I hope you'll stick around if my floss tubes don't have a million hauls in them, because my hauls are going to be a little bit less in 2023, but that's okay. I hope y'all have a great rest of your week, a fabulous weekend. I know that a lot of you are getting fall and even winter weather. We are not. Again, it was 87 degrees here yesterday. It's going to be 87 degrees again here today. Some of y'all would probably take it, but I would switch with y'all. So anyway, thanks again for joining me. Bye, y'all.